everyone. Karen Glasser here, and welcome to Minding Your Mental Health. I'm here with my son and co-host, Rob Glasser. Good morning, Rob.
Good morning.
I think it's actually
Afternoon.
It's afternoon. Good afternoon. We talk about the topics that shape mental health today. We teach the importance of inclusion and share why we should be kind. So whether you're here live or on replay, doesn't matter. We love you. Make sure you tell us in the comments below where you're tuning in from. So today's topic, it's the things we think about, because I don't know about you, Rob. My head is always thinking. My mind is always going. So what are we talking about today in terms of the things that we talk about?
All right, so I put it in perspective. These are things about life, different aspects of life that are probably important. Well, not probably, very important to think about as you go throughout your day. So, Psychology Today, one of my favorite websites, and the author of this blog is Art Markman, PhD. He has a whole blog called Ulterior Motives, all about different things about the mind and ways to do how different things shape it. And in this particular blog, it's titled Your View of the Future is Shaped by the Past. The future has ways of surprising us. So he starts off by saying, it seems easy to think about what you will be doing next week. In general, your life next week feels like it'll be a lot like this week. You'll have the same friends, same job, same home. The distant future, however, he says, is a bit murkier. It's hard to picture where you'll be living, what you'll be doing, and who you'll be spending that time with. How do you envision the future? This question was explored in a paper in the August 2011 issue of Memory and Cognition by Kathleen Arnold, Kathleen McDermott, and Carl Spooner. I apologize if I screwed that one up. They point out at the beginning by saying that your ability to envision the future is strongly influenced by your memory for, not of, for the past. That is, you tend to use memories of past experiences to predict what your life will be like in the future. Now, one book that I've read here about regression therapy, many people aren't a fan of that because they feel that therapists and psychiatrists use that might actually skew what your memory is. However, if you're like me and you're obsessed with trying to figure out what the hell happened to you when you were 10 years old, it is interesting to think how, who, and why, for that matter, your thoughts are what they are. I can tell you things that happen when I random moments, no particular reasoning, but I can't begin to tell you why or how they might have happened. So, for my first question to you on this one, is it possible that your brain, my brain, other people's brains could be skewing by itself because you might not remember the whole shebang, so to speak, that might have actually happened? My answer is yes, that is quite possible. Now, talking with multiple different people on this and reading, your brain is a funky little organ that you got. It can be the best, it can be the worst, but either way, it tends to do things more than it should, which usually ends up wrong because of the inability of how you propose it. Now, the difference being here is if you read a book or you study something, that's pretty common knowledge, so to speak. However, when somebody asks you for your opinion or to be creative, all that goes out the window because there is no right answer, right? There is no correct answer. I don't know if you want a minute to just kind of talk or something.
I don't know what the right answer for that is. We remember what we remember, right?
Well, they continue by saying it's easier for your memories when the future you're predicting is close versus when the future you're predicting is, let's say, years down the line. Right. Chances are you have experienced many specific locations and events that are like ones you will encounter again.
Right.
Or for those with the past life type of deal, you might have been doing something that you never knew you did, but when you get to that, you might go, hey, this seems familiar, even if you might have never done it. Another study that they said demonstrated that it's possible to make more specific predictions by imagining that future in a familiar area versus an unfamiliar. So many times you've said to me or others said to me, when you're thinking what you want to do, put it in perspective of what you're doing. And it is a little bit easier because
Right.
when you already know what you're doing now, you can kind of put yourself in a placement more or
Right.
less.
Our brain operates everything in the present. So if you go out of your way to say I am experiencing happiness, your brain goes, yeah, it's I am right now in the present, rather than I will feel, in 10 years from now I'm going to be happy, or I'm going to do what brain
Right.
doesn't.
And they end by saying, why does this matter? It matters because in order to do something, you have to envision and plan what you want to do. So
Exactly.
whatever the future itself is actually doing really has minor difference to you because, for the most part, as cliche as it sounds, it's really up to you to pick and choose what you'd like to happen for that, while knowing that there are many outstanding situations that you don't know about, and you just have to kind of, so to speak, roll with the punches as things go. It's a really interesting article, I think.
It is. It's very, and I'm going to jump in because a different take on the whole past, present, and future. This gentleman by the name of Vishen Lakhiani, he is the founder of Mind Valley, and he wrote this book called Six Phase Meditation Method. And specifically, he talks about the happiness gap, and he talks about the forward gap from present to the future. When we go, I'll be happy when, or I'll be happy when this happens, and but you can never reach it because you're always, it's the next thing that's going to make you happy. He talks about the reverse gap, and he talks about the past leading to the present. So I'm going to riff on what that article talked about in terms of the past, but it's focusing more on, look at how much I've done and look at how far I've come, and focusing on what you have rather than what you don't have. And when we tend to talk about the future, we're thinking about what we want to have, right? And what we want to get to. So I think it's a slightly different way to look at the whole past, present, and future. But since the article was your view, the future is shaped by the past. And in fact, it's feeling proud about what you did. So in your past, Rob, when you talk about when you're 10 years old and you remember, fleeting things, it is what has shaped your path, and
Right.
whether we understand what it's done and how it's done it, um, by just flipping the mindset and saying, look at how far I've come. I'm not sure why, but look at how far I've come. And so I
Sure.
really like this guy, and I encourage our viewers to go take a look at this book. It's really cool, the Six Phases Meditation Method. So that's my input there.
All
So
right.
what's the
Well,
next
I
article?
will stick to my guns. I definitely think it's more interesting how the brain works on it and how it is important to think of all the little things, whether they happen or not, but it's the brain that kind of shapes how you do what you do. Now, the second part here, I got to take a breath in between my sentences. The second part here, um, is there something you need to be appreciative? Well, funny. I mean, I don't know. I actually, I don't know, because no matter what I typed into Google for that question, I got nothing. So as good as Google is, they can't answer that question. However, what I did continuously come across was multiple articles about simple things. Mike Robbins is the guy that I popped on. He is a motivational speaker. I don't think he's in any relation to Tony, but he does do the same thing as Tony Robbins does, motivation. Some of his clients are people like Google, Schwab, LinkedIn, Wells Fargo, and more. So he knows what he's talking about when he's talking about stuff. He says, do you take time to appreciate the simple things? And how did he learn? So he said, sadly, we often don't appreciate the simple things until they're threatened, impacted, or taken away, which is all too often occurring. Sometimes people don't realize how important the things are until it's too late. It's kind of like that song, You Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone. I think that was Janet Jackson. I'm not sure how I know
No, no,
that.
no. Was
Think of all the simple and not so simple things that we weren't or still aren't able to do. This was obviously written during the pandemic, and how much impact this has on our perspective. In a book that he recommends by Ilan Shamir called 1,000 Things That Went Right Today, it's all about this phenomenon. The book invites readers to take a look at little things humorously. It highlights the importance of appreciation, focus on positivity, and instead of the negativity that we usually see at social media.
right.
Sorry, I had to do that. So Two ways that he says are easy to do this. One, be easily impressed. It's kind of like when you're a baby and everything looks like it's amazing. It's like bubbles. Wow. He says, look for the good stuff. Appreciate small miracles. Focus on fantastic aspects of people and situations. And let go of things like, I already knew that. I've seen it all. No big deal. Which I don't know if that's funny or not, but it probably shouldn't be. When we're hard to impress, it makes it easier to be happy, grateful, fulfilled. And those are fundamental parts of a happy life.
Right.
Number two, be hard to offend. So, on the same aspect of being easy to amaze, make it hard to get offended. Now, he uses the word trigger. Apparently, trigger is used multiple, but he says, what are the things that really get your goat, so to speak? Don't think about them. Easier said than done, but basically, don't let those forces into your room. I talked this morning on my session. My therapist was asking how I deal with people who watch or don't watch, or who want me to do things on my podcast that I don't do. I tell them flat out, no, I don't want to. And if you don't want to watch, I don't really care. I'm looking for the people that come back on replay and watch me regularly, because yes, I know the idea of building people is to get them to come. But if somebody's looking to you for something that's not up your niche, it's not really my fault. It's not on me.
Right.
So if they want to watch something differently, I go, hey, check out this guy. He does that, or she does that. So that's the kind of thing. You look at the positive of the negative, and instead of letting it drag you, you just go, hey, you don't like it? Cool beans. Go do something else instead. Read a book. But those are the two aspects he says. Make things so surprising that you're just astonished. And on the flip side, when something comes up that you might not like, twist it to your own positivity, I guess.
Who was it? Einstein? Was it Einstein that says, "Look at life as if everything is a miracle"? There's a quote about
Sounds
that.
like something like he
Yeah.
would. I'm actually. Oh, you're going to look that up? Yeah. All right. Now, he says an actionable idea right now is appreciate the simple things in the moment. Write them down, speak them, call somebody, tell them, take a photo, whatever it is. Oh, you found it. There you go. There are only two ways to live your life. One is though nothing is a miracle. The other is everything. Yeah, there you go. So really what this guy is saying, and he talks about, the gratefulness as well. I don't know if you need something to appreciate, but you need something to appreciate, if you get my drift.
Right.
Appreciation, just like gratitude, we've talked about it before. I don't think it's a learned thing. I think it's something you figure out as you go.
Right.
You can't teach it to me. Other people can't teach it to me. I just kind of woke up one morning and said, hey, I like to think of things like that.
Right.
Boom.
Right.
But while you are appreciating things, look at everything as important. You might come to find that you'll make a better habit of the important things, but until you get there, the grass, the trees, the squirrel, it doesn't matter. It's all cool. It's all relevant, so to speak.
Right.
And it's all fun.
It's a great way to be. It's a great way
to be. Now, this last one I've been looking forward to, and really to this day, I don't know if I have the feeling of this yet, because I think the difference between the two words is prominent. But from the PS Group, which is actually a realtor company, so if anyone's going to write a story or a blog about homes, it's them. They wrote, what's the difference between a home and a house? They start off, you can actually listen to this blog as well. It's only 4 minutes long. It's a very short article. They said, have you ever wondered what the difference is between a home and a house? Although the terms are used interchangeably, they mean significantly different things. And in the article, they talk about it. The top 3 things. Dictionary. The dictionary says a house, a building for human habitation, especially one that consists of a ground floor and one or more upper stories. I'd say it doesn't have to be human, right? You could build a home for like your dog and your cat, right? And trust me, I've seen triple-story dog houses and cat houses too. A home, however, dictionary-wise, defined as the place where one lives permanently, especially as a member of a family or household. So off the bat, the dictionary does give you a very good definition. The house is the noun, it's the thing. It's what the construction workers create for you, it's what you go into, that's your house. The home is your living quarters, your headquarters, so to speak. It's where you live,
Right.
whether it's solo or household. Context is their second difference. When you refer to some place as a house, you refer to the building or structure that is
Right.
physically there. However, when you refer to a home, you are talking about where you and your family are
Right.
living. So again, words, context makes a big difference. I'm not just saying that because, Krista is the writer in the house, but it is a big difference contextually. Lastly, emotional gaps. The difference between home and house is factually minute, but philosophically huge. When people talk about making a house a home, they want to convert the physical space into one where they feel safe, comfortable, and loved.
Yep.
It gives meaning to just the flat or apartment and it makes it belong to you.
Right.
Now, I'll stop here. This is kind of where renter versus buy. I think I haven't fully found the home, so to speak, because everything I've been in is somebody else's. And while I'm here for the moment and I'm here for the time being and I'm making it a home, it's not really a home in the sense of home because it's not owned by me. It's not my own physical thing. And I think my definition of a home is something that I can say I earned or made permanently. That's just my definition, personally. However, as we've talked about off screen, making a place homely for the time being is just as important until you find your final spot to, put your butt on the couch and be physically and mentally there. Um, let's see. Houses can be different sizes and shapes, but a home is what you feel. So it could be large, it could be small, but the home is the same. What else? For example, you can say your friend bought a house or that a builder is developing a house, but you welcome people to the home or you talk about your
Right.
childhood home. There you go. Lastly, they just finished off by saying what makes the difference. So, home is somewhere, like they said, where you feel comfortable and you feel like you belong. It's
Right.
refuge from the world. Thus, to make a house a home, you have to make a space comfortable and make it feel like yours. They say home is where the heart is. This can mean many things. It's a place to make memories where you feel free and can be
Right.
themselves. I say that it's the place where you can go back from after being outside to actually feel safe and comfortable after dealing with what you're dealing with in the real world. But it's an interesting thought, isn't it? And the rest of the article goes on to basically kind of repeating the same thing. But really, it's the difference between the physical entity and the feeling entity of what it is. Anything can be made homely or home-like, but not every place is a home. Every place, on the contrary, though, is a house for the sheer definition of four walls, a base, and a top make a house. Though, as I'm saying that, that could also be a building. That could also be other things. So really, four walls, a base, and a top isn't necessarily a house either. But there still is the differentiating between the two words. And this is the stuff that we think about, at least I think about.
Right.
Um,
And there was a song that came out in I think the 60s, Dionne Warwick. It was called "A House Is Not a Home
okay.
Unless There's Somebody Living There. A chair is not a chair unless somebody's sitting there." And it's the whole idea that until you have the experience of being in or on or at it, it's simply the inanimate object. Say that 5 times fast. It's just simply a thing until you put the experience with it. So I'm 100% agreement with you. Great conversation. If you're tuning in live, let us know what you think. And if you are here on a replay, we'd love to hear what you think as well. Make sure that I'm going to put some links up here. If you are looking for some support and some help right now, you can check out NIMH. It's the government body on mental health. You can also check out NAMI, which is also a great website, gives you all sorts of resources. And finally, 988. If you are looking right now, you need somebody to talk to, please go ahead and just dial that 988. They will connect you with the area that you live in, and somebody will be there to help. Go out, give somebody an awesome day, And we will see you next time on the next episode of Minding Your Mental Health. Goodbye, everyone.